I just ran the numbers, and the truth is, Gen Z is totally cooked. I'm going to break down in this video the coalition of special interests that have worked together to enrich themselves while keeping you poor. Not only did they steal your chance for financial security, they rigged the real estate market, they lied to you about the value of a college degree, and they mock you for not succeeding in a system that has been designed to extract every dollar from your pocket and put it into theirs.
But too many Gen Zers. They're stupid.
Blaming Gen Z for problems created by previous generations is absolutely insane. Look, I am old. I was alive in the past. It was better. Any old fart telling you differently is lying to you. But don't take it from me. Here's a few of Reddit's finest Zoomer voices talking about their chances at home ownership.
If only I diversified my portfolio at age 11, then I'd be all right.
All I had to do was marry a girl, buy her a car, help her get her license back, and turn her loose on the streets to get T-boned by a DoorDash driver. DoorDash insurance paid out $1 million. Profit.
It was easy. All I had to do was buy a foreclosure using my inheritance from my late grandmother. You know, the stuff most people have working to their advantage. No, seriously, that's the only way I was able to buy my house. And I have no clue how the average working young adult could ever afford to own property now.
Look, buying your own home, it really used to not be that hard. In 1990, 45% of people under the age of 35 owned their own home. In 2023, that number had dropped all the way down to 26.3%. So it has got harder. It's Gen Z's fault. They are so lazy and entitled. They just want to play on phone and they try to swipe book. Ha 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 ha. When I was 19 years old, I bought a 200-bedroom house for $3 and a grape. Why can't they? Bah! In 2012, the median sales price of a new home was around $220,000. And by 2024, that figure had risen to about $420,000. That represents an increase of about $198,000 in approximately 12 years. But don't worry, if home prices keep increasing at this rate, there's a lot of wonderful bridges for you to sleep under. Oh, and it's not just the home prices. Mortgage rates have gone absolutely insane. My whole adult life, mortgage rates are around 3 to 4%. But today, the average mortgage rate is hovering around 7%. Absolutely insane, because this has a huge impact on your monthly payment. If you buy a $500,000 house and put 10% down, your monthly payment would go from around $2,300 to around $3,400. And that $1,000 difference is just interest. But don't worry, it gets even worse. On a $450,000 loan over 30 years at a 3% interest rate, you'll pay about $233,000 in total interest. At a 7% interest rate, you'll pay about $627,000 in total interest. The difference in interest paid between these two is $394,000. You could buy another house with the difference in interest. But let's be honest, this is completely your fault. In third grade, instead of buying Pokemon cards, you really should have been buying foreclosed duplexes. Oh, I forgot something. It gets even worse. Because the price of the home has gone from $200,000 to $400,000, your property taxes have doubled. Yay! Gen Z is getting attacked on two fronts. First, by people who already own their homes. They lobby their local governments to stop new construction. This helps them because there are less homes available, which creates less supply. Therefore, the home they own goes up in value, making them richer, which makes them happy. And these people have teamed up with large corporate landlords who also don't want new home construction because it pushes up the price of rent, which helps them please their shareholders. However, most people benefiting from the system are nice people. The grandma sitting on $2 million in equity isn't going, yes, yes, make the young suffer. They must pay. I hate them. I need more Werther's Originals. That grandma is probably lovely and makes amazing milk and cookies. But the system has been structured in such a way to incentivize her to talk to her local politicians and do absolutely everything to stop new home constructions so she can keep the wealth she built in her home. Grandmas show up to zoning meetings and say things like, "We can't build more homes, there's too many, and also we need to get the skateboards off the sidewalk." And this is really gonna suck, but if you wanna make your voice heard and make a difference and maybe someday own a home, you're gonna have to show up to these boring meetings and say things like, "Build more homes, please, I'm a poor." That's what you're gonna need to do, because these politicians also only work in their self-interest. If they know people will not vote for them, if they don't build more homes, they will build more homes. Everyone just works in their self-interest. You just can't expect people to do things that are against their own self-interest. They just won't. That's why we need a government that will create laws that help the greater good. But unfortunately, our government was built on opposite day. That means the entire system has been optimized to only help 2 billionaires. The YIMBY movement, Yes in My Backyard, is a pro-housing movement that has really brought together some interesting groups. You have the blue-haired communist activist who wants more housing for the poor people, and you have the developer who just wants to build like crazy because they get paid when new homes are built. And amazingly, capitalism has brought them together because they have the exact same interest: more homes getting built. The enemy of the YIMBYs is the NIMBYs, the not in my backyard types, who want to block all new home construction, and they're absolutely bonkers. They seem to think supply and demand stops working magically for homes. There's empirical data backing up that building more homes makes home prices and rent prices go down. Here are the numbers of homes each city built in 2024. In San Francisco, 1,200. In Washington, D.C. Metro, 5,320. In New York City, 14,700. And then in Austin, Texas, 21,506. Take a wild guess which city had rent and home prices go down, even though it has the fastest growing population. Austin, Texas is building more homes faster than your little brother can in Minecraft. Because of loose regulations and pro-home building policies, the median rent in Austin since 2022 is down 15%. And for smaller units, the decreases have been even larger. Studio apartments have decreased around $405 a month, from $1,500 to about $1,095. $400 a month for most Americans is game-changing. That's a used car payment, or in my case, one trip to Costco. And buying homes has gotten a lot cheaper in Austin too. Since 2022, the average home price is down 21.9%. You're welcome, because I caused this. Not pro-housing policies, not the Fed, nothing. It was me buying a house at the peak in 2022. You're welcome. So why does this matter? Because home prices affect everything. If you look across our country, so many of the problems are caused by there are not enough homes. The homeless crisis, not enough homes. Wages not keeping up with the cost of living, not enough homes. The death of the American dream, not enough homes. Hundreds of thousands of people haven't left California for Texas because they love summers where it's 105. They're moving for one reason: Texas builds enough homes. So how does Gen Z get uncooked and get Gucci? God, that was so cringe. I feel shit to my tummy. Basically, you have two choices. The first is the most popular: financial nihilism. Except you'll always be poor and there's nothing you can do about it. So rack up as much debt as possible, fall into a K-hole, and hope that the planet explodes before you go bankrupt. Or you're gonna just have to work really, really hard and just accept that it's gonna be a lot more difficult for you to achieve the same lifestyle your parents did. And that really sucks, and it's not right. These days, the economy has basically become a casino. You can do everything right. You get into the best school, Berkeley. You major in the correct major, computer science. Everyone told you if you major in that, you'll be rich. And at the end of it, you get nothing. Surprise, no jobbo, now you pavo. And then some girl can drunkenly yell, "Hawk Tua, spit on that thang," and she becomes a multimillionaire. If you're gonna wanna own your own home and build real wealth, you're gonna have to play everyone's least favorite game: capitalism. Buying a home isn't the only way to build wealth in America. There's actually a lot of other amazing opportunities. For example, you can buy index funds. Index funds are basically a large collection of stocks put together, and then you can buy them under a single ticker. For example, I really like the S&P 500. It tracks the 500 largest companies in America, and you're able to buy a single ticker from Vanguard, VOO, and it will track the growth of the S&P 500, which tends to over time increase and pay you dividends. And someday you'll use this wealth building device and you'll be able to buy an entire egg. And for the financial nihilists in the crowd, just put it all on Fartcoin and pray. Also, you don't have to put 20% down. I know it seems daunting because the average priced home is $420,000. That means a 20% down payment would be about $84,000, which is really crazy when you think about that the average Gen Z salary is just 45 grand. Don't be afraid to look into other loan alternatives where you can put as low as 3% down. For a lot of people, it's just a lot easier to have a higher payment than to have to come up with 84 grand all at once.
Always put 20% down. You're just bad with money. If you just stopped eating and didn't live anywhere, you could totally do it. You are so lazy and entitled.
Gen Z, I'm really sorry that us olds have made the world so horrible for you, but you can be happy knowing that Gen Alpha is even more cooked. And then someday, they're gonna scream at you about how these were the good old days.